A year ago, Russia stopped supplying Germany with natural gas. The end of supplies down the Nord Stream 1 pipeline forced the German government to rush to find other supplies of energy. A year on, the country has broken its reliance on Russia.
Just 4 months after Russia's pipeline supply freeze, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz opens Wilhelmshaven's liquefied natural gas terminal. Terminals in Brunsbüttel and Lubmin are built too. To keep the gas flowing, LNG tankers are converted into floating terminals at record speed. As Russia sent the majority of gas to Germany, the supply freeze caused immense disruption. Norway, previously Germany's second most important gas supplier, rose to become the new number one, responsible for 42% of its supply, followed by the Netherlands and Belgium, which have increased their shares drastically. EU countries like Austria and Italy continue to be supplied by Russia. Last year, Russia was still one of the three most important gas suppliers to the EU, with a share of about 25%, similar to Norway. And LNG gas, which is becoming increasingly important in Germany, comes mainly from the US, Qatar, and Nigeria. Russia's war in Ukraine has drastically changed Europe's energy market. Germany has extended the lifetime of coal-fired power plants. Other European countries want to build new nuclear power plants because of the energy and climate crisis.
Let's discuss Germany's changing energy relationship with Russia with Olga Khakova from the Global Energy Centre. Thanks a lot for being with us, Olga. So is Germany's weaning itself off of Russian gas something of a success story of the past year?
Yes and no. So in a lot of ways, the last year and a half, over a year and a half, have been a tremendous success story in how quickly Europe and countries like Germany have been able to pivot away from Russian energy sources. Germany particularly was heavily reliant, a much higher percentage than other European countries on Russian energy imports. And in record time, Germany has installed several FSRUs, some of which are planned to be transformed into permanent LNG facilities starting 2026. However, we're already seeing some pushback in Germany on whether these LNG facilities are truly needed, do more need to come online. So although initially Germany responded with exceptional speed to this energy crisis, and it was unprecedented how quickly these FSRUs were installed. We are seeing a bit of an issue in terms of finding a permanent solution for decoupling from a significant amount of Russian pipe gas from Nord Stream that was coming to Germany in the past, and how to ensure that that is a permanent shift and not just for a couple of years.
Yeah, because Russia is always going to be on Germany and the EU's doorstep, and it's going to continue to have these massive reserves. But maybe the war isn't going to last forever. So is there a potential future where actually we start to see a resumption of imports of Russian gas in Europe?
I don't think we can take anything out of the question. And it's really important right now to build out enough supply chains, connections across Europe, and enough global supply to permanently shift away from Russia. Otherwise, you're right. There is a risk of going back to perhaps not a 40-45% reliance on Russian energy sources, but a significant enough reliance to where Russia can still wield it as an energy weapon, wield it as a way to pursue its geopolitical priorities. And that is the last thing that Europe will need. One way to mitigate that, of course, are long-term contracts across Europe. And we've seen quite a few of those pop up, but there's still some hesitancy from some European countries on signing on something that's longer than 10 to 15 years and seeing how that synchronizes with reaching climate goals. Now, considering the amount of coal and other heavy carbon generation across Europe, LNG can actually contribute to both energy security and climate goals. But of course, every country is in a different situation. still, there are some countries that have long-term contracts standing on piped gas deliveries from Russia. Now, we all know Russia stopped those deliveries to blackmail Europe into reducing its support for Ukraine last year. But nothing is stopping Russia from trying to restart it any day. And they've seen that the blackmail hasn't worked out. I don't want to rule out a scenario where kind of they try the opposite strategy, where they try to flood the market with really cheap gas. And some countries in Europe might not be able to say no to that temptation.